Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer and listener, Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe here once again. Welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We are shooting against the backdrop of the Forbes 30 Under 30, which is underway, which is a second summit to be held in Botswana consecutively. So we're very, very excited, and we've gone a little bit of international. We've gone a little bit international, as we should when at a time like this, or shall I say continental. Previously, we've interviewed people from South Africa, someone from Ghana, and others from South Africa, and now we have someone from our closest neighbor, Namibia. And I learned that one of the languages spoken in Namibia is Setswana. I was very excited to hear that we have radio stations that speak Setswana in Namibia. So you guys are very close to us. Welcome, Esther Mundjenga. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes. That's my name.
Yeah. Would you take just a moment to introduce yourself, your background briefly, what you do in Namibia, and so on?
No, okay. Thank you so much. My name is Esther Mundjenga, and I'm the founder for Calvin Real Estate. And I've also been I'm in the banking industry as well. So that is my full time, and then at the same time, I should just say it's simultaneously having been to run Calvin Real Estate.
Okay.
And this is a business I started officially last year, but I've gained experience over the years in the property business, but it's just that it required me to do a few licensing, doing the papers right before I can actually be fully operational. So we were official from last year.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me, what is your professional training in terms of school? Where did you go and what did you do?
Okay, I'm from Rundu. Mm-hmm. Rundu is in Kavango region, which is on the northern part of Namibia. And so my primary, I was at Sauyema Combined School, and then I went to St. Boniface. I went to Rudolph Ngondo Primary School, and then I went to St. Boniface College, and then after that I went to Dr. Alpor, and from Dr. Alpor I then proceeded to Rundu Secondary. That's where I completed, and then I went to University of Science and Technology, where I did my economics degree. And then after that, I also did a postgraduate in business management. And currently, I'm now in my second year or final year of my Masters of Management.
Wow.
That's with the University of Science and Technology.
Wow. Tell me, you mentioned briefly when we were having a chat, on Instagram, that you believe in being intentional. How did you come to embrace this as a value, being intentional?
It's something I actually learned at the summit.
The Forbes Under 30.
Yes, Forbes Under 30. It's quite a privilege that I was invited to come and attend, because I've learned so much from it. And one of the values is what you're saying, being intentional. I feel that everybody, if you want to be successful, or if there's anything that you want to do and you're passionate about it, you can only achieve it if you're intentional. It does not end at because you're good at it or you're just passionate about it, but you should go an extra mile to be intentional about it if you really want to succeed. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask for examples in your life, but before I do that, let's talk about the licensing process. what does it take to set up a real estate business in Namibia?
Okay, well, there's a test that needs to be. We have a board that manages all the estate agents. I think that is because they need to make sure there's transparency. They need to make sure that the customers are taken care of, and there's insurance in case of loss in the process of dealing with real estate businesses. So they are the ones that are responsible to give the license. But at first, one has to write a test. The real estate agent test, and there's a passing rate which is 50%. So if you get the 50%, then you are able to apply for the license, which is now the fidelity certificate, which allows you to operate as a real estate agent.
All right. Why the name Calvin Real Estate, the name of your business?
It's Calvin because that is my grandfather's name.
Oh.
And yes, I remember when I passed my test and I got now to register, because after passing the test, you now have to apply for the company. It's more like you can't have it registered without, it's not any type of business where you can just wake up and then you start doing the business and you're making the money, but then it requires you to, after the test, you now have to come up with the name, you now have to get auditors, all these things. So when I was applying for my name to get the company registered, I had an option to have 3 names. So the very first one didn't work out because I think it was already taken by someone. So my second choice was, I thought of my late grandfather because, and the reason is because he was so dear to me. I remember when I was in grade 1, I passed my grade 1 and then I was going to grade 2. So they told me I'm not going to do grade 2. I'll skip grade 2, but only if I passed. There was a test they gave me. I needed to prepare during a holiday. So if I passed that test, then I don't do grade 2. I just skip grade 2 and go to grade 3. So then in that holiday, I had to go spend time with my grandfather. And he helped me to study the test, and I passed it, and I went on to grade 3 without doing grade 2. So that is something that made me get closer to him, and knowing the fact that also he took care, my grandfather and my grandmother took care of me when I was a baby, because my parents still had to go to school. Like my father was at the varsity, and then so I was with them. They were like my parents. So with my grandfather, him doing that for me, he became my favorite. So I just needed a name that will be close to my heart, and even when I'm doing the business, there's something more to the name, because it will keep making me honor him, because he's late now. So but it helps me to just keep the business going and keeping his legacy. Yes.
Did he teach you any special technique for studying that you appreciate so much?
Not I don't know. I'm
this is the discipline, right?
Yeah, because I feel in everything we do, if we don't have the discipline, that's right, we won't be able to do it. If we are not following, especially when we are told what needs to be done, then definitely it won't work. I think that's why it worked for me and my grandfather, because I listened to him. I tried to do what he asked me to do, which is part of discipline, and it got me.
So what was involved in qualifying for Forbes 30 under 30? What did you do, and what steps you took to end up here?
That's a very interesting question, because at the moment I'm still hoping to speak to Chanel, who's part of the organizers, just to know in depth as to how they really got to me, because there are a lot of other companies in Namibia that are doing so well, probably better than me, but then the age could be one reason. I'm still under 30, and then also I feel I've made myself available on the LinkedIn platform, Instagram, like digital platforms. I think that's also a quick way for them to see the work that you're doing. But if I'm asked here how they did that, I still feel I need to talk to Chanel, because they need to tell me which one of it they really use, because I'm not so sure which one it is.
Yeah, but you were out there. Were you active on social media?
Yes.
How so?
Yes.
Tell me about your activities.
Okay, one thing I've also realized is that it's not only also about the business, but the value that you've added to you as a person, or the networking that you've also done, because it puts you in the position to learn on how you can really make it in the business, and also creating a story behind a name. Yes, there's Calvin Real Estate, but what else? So I'm also a volunteer for a Kavango Youth Development Organization. I'm the director for gender and social welfare. That's the voluntary thing that I do, which is more onto empowering the youth, creating career guidance, and also just helping with poverty eradication in our community. So that, and then also being involved in the banking industry, I try my best to put, whenever I'm required to do something, I should try to give it I should go an extra mile so that I can have that. That's how we create clientele, because people will only support you if they know this. You have that taste. There's value addition in what you're doing. So for me, I feel that
there's
should
so
be
much
the
to
reason.
unpack in what you've said. First, let's talk about the volunteer work. How did you become a part of it, and what joy does it give you to be part of that?
Okay, so what I used to do in my personal time, I do, like, I create topics, and then I have there was a time I had invited a few people to have a social discussion on Facebook, and it was about youth development. So I had topics where we just discussed about this thing on Facebook, because I felt every youth is almost every youth is on Facebook. So how else can we catch their attention so that they are able to listen to the most important things? Because if you see most of the youth, they're on Facebook, but for all the other reasons. But how do we use the same platform to make sure that we draw their attention to the things that really matter the most? Because our future is based, or is in the hands of the youth. If we neglect them or leave them behind, they're not going to do anything about the development. What's the point then of us developing if we are not pulling them with us? So I just did it in my own time, and I put that.
So were you a blogger, or are you a blogger?
Not on full time, but I can say I'm partially, yes, because that's how I ended up being contacted. What the good thing is, after I did that on Facebook, people requested me to do more. So then I went an extra mile to just organize an event at my own cost. I also just went and invited people. I was so shocked with the turn-up. There were a lot of people there, and that is how the people from the Kavango Youth Development Organization ended up attending, and they were interested in what I was doing, because they felt I'm doing things that they are also trying to do. So what if we just team up and then we do this thing together? So yeah. And the joy it brings me is that, growing up, I always felt like I was not caught up in what most of my age mates were doing. So I was a bit different in a way. I'd always want to keep to myself. I always in some way, I also ended up learning some things that other my peers were not paying attention to. And then, like I said, when you realize something and you see that your mates are not paying attention to it, and you know it has helped you, then you'd want to help them also. So that's the joy, is that I'm happy to know, even if I have to go forward, I'm not doing it alone. Or even if I am gone one of the days, there should be other people who have picked a few things who can also just carry on. So that satisfies.
Wow. One of the things that you talk on, and when we were prepping for this show, was women in entrepreneurship. It's a passion of yours. Tell us your role and your interest in the subject, and then after that, just tell us the impact aspect.
Okay. Women in entrepreneurship, for me, it boils down to, we all have our roles to play on earth, naturally, to begin with. So in the same sense, when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's also a role we need to play as women. Just like, let me give a basic example. At home, let's say I'm working, I have all the money as a woman, and then I have a husband. But if at that point I might feel it's a 50-50, but let's say a criminal comes, like there's a break-in.
Into the house?
Yes.
At night?
At night. Naturally, a man will feel he needs to protect his family. And at that time, I'm also wanting to tell my husband, baby, what should we? So naturally, yes.
You become helpless.
Helpless. So it's the same. Even in entrepreneurship, there are some ideas or some things that men are keeping their focus on. But there's also something that us women, naturally, will also know what we need to do so that we all play the part and we are able to do this thing together.
So, entrepreneurship then?
So with entrepreneurship, what I really want us to do is let's do more. Let's not have the excuse of, because I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, reasoning it as in because of that role, as in I'm a woman, then I'm not able to have a business that can really excel.
All right, let's unpack that a bit further. Tell me what your company does exactly and what type of real estate you deal in.
Okay, currently I'm in the buying and selling and managing body corporate business. Basically, that's what I'm about. So with the buying, clients would request to want to buy a house, and then we look for developers for them who are able to sell the houses to them. Or in terms of selling, they are the sellers. We find sellers. It could be constructors or individuals who would want to make a sale. So we also serve them and make sure the deal is closed. Okay. And then there's body corporate as well. Okay. So,
are there some particular developments you're working on that are exciting that you can share?
At the moment, we are still making baby steps, but I'm excited because we've approached a few offices, and if it works out, I'll be the most excited person because there's that joy when you know you are able to bring a taste in terms of the interior design of how you want a property to look like, and also fitting the standard, because we are currently having a problem with not so up to standard. Our people are living in very not so conducive environments. So we want to create shelter for them that can at least be...
Are they living in shacks?
There's some...
Is it in Windhoek or where?
No. Okay, we have a proper... like there's some locations where you find the up to standard houses. Kleiner Cooper, you want to live in Simbambasia or all these other locations, they are good, they are perfect. But then I'm looking at because those ones are sorted. Probably the only service I can give them is if they want to do renovations. But then if we look at the people who are still looking forward to buying, they are still somehow either renting somewhere which is not so appropriate, or they are staying, because we also have a location where, just like how we were entering Botswana, I could see there are also some places, those places that are not so up to standard. We want to also just see if we can find a way to do developments for them so that they have standard houses.
But what attracted you to real estate specifically? Why are you so excited about property?
Number one, I love family, anything to do with family. And a family is in a home or in a house. And then it goes further from how my passion is for interior designs. And then also how I want to help people to make sure that they have the housing, and also giving them the necessary information. Sometimes it's said that someone is able to afford a house, but because there's no one who's keeping the information or giving them the necessary information of how they can acquire this house, they are stuck in rentals. So I want to help people to get them to property, because with property there's wealth creation there. So I want to do that for the people, to make sure that those who had to struggle to get a house, their next generation do not have to struggle to get a house.
Okay. That's interesting to me. Suppose I'm coming to Namibia for the first time. What are the steps? What do I need to do to get a house? Are there any pieces of advice that you normally share with your clients that you can share with me?
Yes. If you're a foreigner, it depends, because there are those that are buying in cash, but there are those that are buying through bank loans. So with bank loans, then there's a required fee, which is like you need to have some investment, as in security, in order for that mortgage to be approved. But if it's cash, it's a bit better, because now you just need to prove that you have your passport. You are. What is the reason of you being in Namibia? Is it now?
Well, it will be for investment purposes.
Yes. Then, but also there should be now some type of paper that can also show that you are. Let's say if I'm there for work, or then I'll have a work permit.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm there for, let's say I'm just there for a few days, there will also be a paper to prove that I'm there for a few days and this is what I want to buy, and then I'm
visa.
back.
But
Yes.
except that now our government say you can just come in with your Omang, with your ID. So it's easier to get in now.
Yes, it will be easy. It will be easy. But it's just that it depends on the type of how you want to buy. If you have the cash, it's much easier. It's just that now you have to pay the rates and taxes and all the other costs. But yeah.
Are there any taxes,
It's doable.
especially for foreigners? Or
Yes.
What are they?
There is a percentage, not so certain about the percentage at this moment, but there is a percentage that is charged specifically on foreigners compared to the residential, the locals who only need to pay the registration cost, like the lawyers, the bond and transfer costs of the property.
So which field of property are you excited about? I mean, we have industrial, we have commercial, we have residential, and we have, everything in between, including hospitality. Which one are you into?
I honestly don't want to say there's any specific one, because for me, I want to do all, like in residential and commercial. Because if I lock myself...
Yeah, you can take your hands out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and use your hands. Feel free. Yeah.
If I have to lock myself on only residential, anything can change.
Mm-hmm.
Like, business, sometimes it goes well on the residential, but you find yourself that sometimes it's going well on the commercial. So I'm not going to limit myself on the residential only. I want a mix.
Okay. Give me some of your best real estate deals and tell us why they were the best.
Okay, with the best deal, for me, it only becomes more nicer when there's the satisfaction of my client. So there's this other client, and they wanted to buy a house, and first they had a problem with their credit score, and sometimes people start spending not knowing whatever you're doing now will affect your decisions for tomorrow. So this client had a bad credit profile. So they approached me. They wanted to buy a house. So first I had to take them through the steps on how they can actually start managing their finances. Because now it will enable them to start to make them qualify for a house with the bank. So it took time, because now we had to create a relationship to teach this person how to manage their finance, teach them how to budget, and it really impacted them. So because they confessed to me like, if I didn't have that idea of wanting to buy a house and coming across you, I wouldn't have realized that what I'm doing is going to affect me. So the following year, this year actually, then they were able to qualify for their house. Although the whole transfer is not done, but at least we signed their contract already, and it's already approved by the bank. We are just waiting for them to have the house built for them. For me, that is the best deal, because it's life-changing.
Yeah, for that individual.
For that individual. And as much as you can have to change one person, everyone surrounded by them will be advised accordingly. So you've changed more lives.
Yes, there's a ripple effect.
Yes.
Now, what was it that people are doing wrong? What in this case, for instance, what were they doing wrong, and why do you think people need to change to start placing themselves in a good position to qualify for real estate loans?
It's peer pressure. Peer pressure, because some would want to take up loans just because their friends are having fun somewhere, and they're all wanting to rent cars. They want to go and live this life. So there's that peer pressure amongst, especially the youth, or certain type of. I can't also be too specific on which one, but there's that peer pressure. People are affecting other people, and it's what makes them to spend recklessly. There's no savings. People don't understand that you can have loans, but as long as it's for a good reason, you're not going to take a loan because you have to go and have fun, because we need to save up at least to prepare for what can happen, and unexpected expenses. So the saving is not there, and then you find that they're spending unnecessarily, and the cash loans they take up. You already have a loan that you took that is already taking up so much amount from your net salary, and then you still want to go and take cash loans, which is having a very high rate. So
some of them 30%.
Yeah. So and for the wrong reasons. At least let it be for good
some
reasons.
Some of them 30% per month.
Yes.
It's even crazy.
Yes. So at the end of the day, they are stuck on the cash loan, because now every time I do, I get my salary, half is already gone, so I don't have a choice. I still have to go back. So sometimes, even if it means move from, let's say you are renting, move away from the type of location where you are. Go to a cheaper one that can at least make you clear of some of those unnecessary debts that you've accumulated. Because we are not worried about what you did before. We are worried about, okay, going forward, what's going to happen now. So at least do something about it so that we can create a better. It's not good that we find adults who are not able to keep their home, because whatever they did in the past is now affecting them, and they're not able to take care of their homes. I love homes, and if you're not raising a good home, then just know we are not raising a good community. We are not raising, everything we're doing will become pointless.
Yeah. Will become what? Worthless.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So is there a kind of formula? For instance, you said it took about a year to clean up this credit. If somebody was to press you, what is the formula for cleaning credit? What are the specific steps that you take a person through? Okay.
The first thing is get to understand what is most important. You take the payslip. This is my payslip. What are my expenses? First, you list everything, including those that are unnecessary, because that is how you're going to have the realization that this is unnecessary. So list everything down, okay? And then after you're done, you now start ticking off. Which one do you want to get rid of? Which habits do you want to cancel? Once you're done with that, then you look at now the net, like after this is my salary, and this is what I'm going to remove from now. Okay, what will remain? Because whatever will remain is now what you're going to make sure you utilize it to make sure that you going forward, you're not going to make similar mistakes again. And then if it means my rent is unnecessarily high, then I need to at least move to a place that is less rent just for a while. Because the point is, it can be bad now. It will feel bad now because now you have to move to a nicer place. But it's just for a while, because after that while, you are able to now afford a house. And the good part is when you have your own house, you are able to be, most of the government subsidized all the employees. So it becomes cheaper for them.
What is kind of subsidy?
The housing subsidy.
How does it work? I don't know. I don't think we have that here.
Is it? Okay. Like if there's this is a government employee, if they are buying a house, there's an amount that is topped up for housing allowance, so that they are able
like
to.
Like 10% or?
It depends from salary to salary, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah. So say, for instance, someone qualifies for a mortgage that's maybe deducting them 8,000 Namibian dollars. That means they could only be paying 4,000 from their side, from the existing salary, and there will be a top up on their side with another 4,000.
Yeah. As a woman, one of the challenges, or just as an individual, has to do with balancing, isn't it? Balancing business and private life.
Yes.
How do you do it, and is there anything you can advise us on that?
The good thing is that having a standard as a woman, it's good to have personal standards, because that is what will keep you in the discipline of you being carrying out your personal roles as well as your professional or the career that you're in. So for me, it's the standards. I tell myself I can be a billionaire today, but it doesn't take away the fact that I'm still a human being, and I still need to respect everybody. My clients, same way. People at home, I need to give them the same respect, and that just helps in the whole balancing, because then even my time, it becomes a chat. If I'm giving this period to my work, I should make sure in the same chat there's a part that covers for home, and there should be for family time, business, and I said I have a banking role as well. I need to make sure I need to balance all that, because at the end of the day, it's equally important. So for me, there's no way I'll feel like now that, let's say, I'm starting to make money is more important than my responsibility as a mother or as a sister or a daughter. I should still maintain that.
So it's not about allocation of time equally or dividing it up. It's about what? Just priorities?
Yes, priorities as well. But like I said, for me, in my view, it's equally important, because if you're at a business meeting or you have an appointment and at the same time the child is sick or there's an emergency, I need to drop if it means I can postpone and then I take care of what is currently an emergency, then I have to do that.
Yeah.
Same as when I'm at home and there's an important appointment, I have to come to Forbes. I need to talk to my family, guys. I'll be back. Yes, I'll be back. And so just to keep the balance, because we need everything. Yeah. What's the point of making money if I'm making money because I want to to add to development, but also to make sure I'm taking care of the house and making sure my people are
I normally
provided.
say to people that it's more about harmony than balance, because balance implies equal measure,
proportional,
whereas harmony means everything flows and gets.
Okay, now I think I'll change the narrative.
Listen, banking keeps coming up in our conversation. What exactly are you doing in banking, and what can we learn from you on the banking side?
Okay, I'm a multi-skilled consultant now. Multi-skilled consultant in a bank. And banking, I have the best. Is it like a
side gig or a side hustle?
No. It's also like a full-time job. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and
so real estate, entrepreneurship, and this some of the charity work those are the side hustles. The main hustle is the banking.
I feel like I'm in like I mentioned, this is like on the starting point. Right now, I can't say it's also just a side hustle, because it's taking my time equally. Sometimes I have to sleep late, because if I have to work until 5 o'clock, then that means at home I just spend like 2 to 3 hours. I need to make sure the food, everything, I switch. If there's anything that I needed to send to the client, or maybe they needed to send me their document, I need to update something, I need to do it before I can even go back to sleep. So I balance, I just have to do everything. So I can't really say it's a side, because it takes up so much of my time as well.
So what is your role at the bank?
Currently, I'm in the contact center space. So we just assist clients telephonically with, we do overdrafts, overdrafts. What else do we do?
In other words, you advise clients what is needed, what the bank requires to do certain things.
We are also there for the giving out of the information as well. Yes.
Okay.
Telephonically.
Okay. So, have you received specialized training to be a banker?
No, this was an on-the-job training, because I started off as an inquiries consultant. I became a legal compliance officer, and then I became a contact center agent, and then now I'm a multi-skilled consultant.
Multi-skill?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Multi-skill consultant is more of a person that's just making sure, like where there's a shortage, I always have to step in to make sure I...
Shortage of?
Let's say staff. Yeah.
Isn't that good? Because it means you develop your skills in all the areas.
Yes.
So even the CEO, if he's absent,
no.
It's as far as?
No, just within the contact center space.
Oh, okay. All right. Multi-skilled consultant. What real estate opportunities are available in Namibia? I mean, obviously you've come to Forbes, and there's so many people who, like myself, I'm a real estate investor. Tell me about the opportunities.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm happy to hear that, because I'm at the right place. Yes, the opportunities are there. There's a lot of unserviced land, and the demand for houses is there. Yes, but like investment is what is not there at the moment. Like that's what I've observed so far. So yes, there's opportunities there, because people want houses really, and there are those who really do qualify, and there are those that are trying to clean up to qualify for houses. So the opportunities are there in terms of Airbnbs, in terms of like just development for residential, or currently even where I come from, the region where I come from, they just split the regions into two. So most of the people
what are those regions?
Kavango West and Kavango East. It used to be Kavango region only. So they only had one town, which is Rundu. But now they split it into two. So there's a lot of activities now on the other side, because there was nothing much happening. So there's room for growth.
What's the new town there?
Yes.
They're creating a new town?
Yes.
Okay, what's it called?
Kurekuru.
All right. So in terms of Windhoek and Swakopmund, because those are the two areas we hear about a lot, what is available?
At the moment, it's the space is quite still there. The land is there, but the competition is more compared to the smaller town, the other smaller towns, because of course it's a tourist place. So most of the people have already started investing there. The only thing maybe we can do is in terms of innovation, like just to bring a different taste in properties. That is doable. The space is still there in those coastal areas. But the real investment is on the smaller towns.
People like saying property is expensive. What would you say an average 3-bedroom house costs? And in Namibia, for instance, in Windhoek.
Okay.
And how? Let's talk about how expensive property is in Namibia.
At the moment, the COVID kind of reduced the prices, but now it's moving rapidly. Yes, even the home loan rate is now increasing it's currently at 11.75%. And on average, before COVID, it was at around about 1.4 million.
A 3-bedroom house.
That is like a 3-bedroom house.
With a yard.
Yeah. Like a freestanding. But then at the moment you can still find, currently you can find them at you can still get at 1.2. Yeah, so it has reduced a bit.
Okay.
Just a bit, but it's actually increasing on a daily basis, because now COVID is gone, so everything is coming back to the way it was. So it's 1.2. Now the competition is that there's sectional titles which are more cheap. They are cheaper compared to freestanding. And this is a gap that we need to close as agents, because our customers don't know the difference. They just feel because it looks like a house, it has a yard, that's a freestanding house. But no, those are freestanding sectional titles. They're still required to pay levies. They're still, they don't know a lot of.
Well, teach us what are the important things to know about sectional title?
Okay, with sectional titles, people must know it comes with an extra, there's a common area that needs to be managed. So there should be a part that each unit owner must play by paying their levies so that the property is maintained. But they think as long as I bought it, as long as my water is running, they don't understand that it's because of the contribution of the other units. That's why these things are functional. So, yeah.
So even in buying, you have to factor in the future costs.
Yes.
Is it the homeowners association costs?
Yes, it's a body corporate cost. They need to know there should be a but now the government has made it easy, because back in the days the rates and taxes were also a common. You pay in a body corporate, and then the body corporate pays the rates and taxes, and then also now do the waste management, as well as the security and all this. But now they've divided that. They've decided every unit owner must just take care of their own rates and taxes.
How does it work? How do you divide it up?
Okay, they bill it on the meter, like the differentiated meter, so that at least the body corporate must only pay for the other expenses, such as, let's say now,
gardening.
Yeah.
There's a swimming pool.
Yes. All that. Then at least they are able to manage it better, because there was really a huge problem when other people were dependent on the other ones, but the others are not taking the responsibility to pay. So you find that the other homeowners are suffering because of the decisions made by the negligence of the other homeowners. I think it's a good move, honestly.
Have you started investing yourself in real estate? And if so, what are you doing?
I don't know if it's the right time to share, though.
No, it's
my
right.
deal. Yeah. Okay, but I'm buying houses like how do you call them? Like depreciated houses?
Yes, sort of.
Worn out.
Run down, worn down.
Yes, and then you just renovate them and then resell.
Okay.
So currently, that's what I'm doing, and I have some few that I'm just waiting for approvals.
So then, tell me which model is better then. Is it better to be a flipper, which means you find those worn-down houses, you upgrade them and sell, or it's better to buy and hold in terms of a long-term strategy in real estate?
It's quicker to renovate and resell. It's really quicker to make money that way. Because the buying, you must have the patience if you're choosing the other one of buying and holding. Because we are now going to wait for it to appreciate. And then once the value...
also to bring you the rent over
me?
time. And also to earn your rent over time.
Yes. Then at least then you are able to resell. So at least that should be a decision I should make as an individual, as in I'm just buying this house. And then over the years, if I move to another town, or then I can resell. That is fine, but not in business. Yes, in business is also fine, but that it can't compare to the other one of buying the one out. You renovate and resell.
What's your personal preference?
The one I like the most. The other one of the revamping one, the renovating one, and then reselling.
Okay.
Yes.
But would it surprise you if I tell you that to earn real, sustainable, long-term wealth, it's better to buy and hold?
That's a lesson I'll take. I'll take it as a...
You don't agree with me?
At the moment, I what I've observed, or maybe it's because I'm looking at it like how much a house was costing 5 years ago is more or less the same now. So how patient am I? especially me that wants to expand business.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm at that point.
But you're earning rental on that house for those 5 years. On top of that, you can borrow against that house and do what is known as equity release to buy another house. And then you keep repeating that and keep repeating that. You'll be wealthy.
Awesome.
Sooner or later.
Awesome.
That's an approach to real estate which I think works, which I have adopted. You don't think it works?
It makes, there's money there, yes. Well, if you put it in that aspect, it really is long-term bearing.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the other option because I'm not at a point where I can really be able to afford a large, like more properties at the
Put
same time.
Put it this way, after you've renovated and sold that house and you get that cash, what are you going to do with the cash?
In most of the time, if you're getting that unless there's investors who are willing also not to get a lot of return on investment, then at least there's a lot of profit. But if it has to go through the bank, that means that money, when it comes, when I'm selling, I need to repay back.
Isn't there a profit? What do you do with the profit?
That profit, I have to save it up so that I can at least be in a position where I'm able to buy more properties than do the option that you're saying.
Oh, so you are doing this temporarily with a long-term focus of piling up the cash to buy and hold.
Yes, because growing or expanding for now is laying a foundation for the business. I can't be too patient for 10 years for the growth to take place.
No, it means you and I agree in principle then.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about your brand, Esthers brand, going forward, say 10, 15 years. What do you see? What is in store for this brand?
The 10 years from now, I want to have my own property in a certain like I should create a development in some location where it's referred to as, I don't know how many locations are here. What would you refer? I don't know the houses here, but like I mentioned, there's Kleine Cooper, Hockland. I want to have a Calvin
township. With how many units?
Even if it has to start with 10, make it later 15.
Okay.
It's fine.
Owned units or just managed units? Owned by you or just managed by you? How does it work?
A mix will be nice because the first freestanding or owned by themselves is nicer because that's quick money for me. But the ones that are manageable, that is also a sustainable way for me to make money.
So best case scenario, there will be maybe 100 units. You sell 50, you keep 50.
Yes.
You use the sales from the 50 to develop, and then you're set.
Yes, and then because the good part about the managing of the units, you can have other businesses such as the waste management business, and also the maintaining of the buildings, and that is. In
other words, you have you can innovate around additional businesses to run.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, I want us to go back to Forbes Under 30 and to share with me one or two presentations that you enjoyed the most and why you enjoyed them.
Okay, the very first one is the Member of Parliament, the billionaire, the African billionaire.
I wasn't there, tell us.
Okay. I just forgot his name. He spoke. He's the billionaire.
The one from Kenya or from Tanzania? Tanzania, or
yes.
The Indian gentleman?
Yes.
Yes.
He inspired me because he mentioned things that goes along with what I've always thought of. Nothing really works without the hard work. Nothing. He mentioned that he even had a point where he had a bed in his office, so that he finishes what he has to do, take a quick nap, and go back to doing what he needed to do at that time. So for me, that motivated me, because sometimes you feel like, oh my goodness, am I not doing too much oh my God, maybe I'm just not supposed to be doing this thing. But it's good to hear people from like him, because it's a way of letting me know that I'm on track and it will pay off at the end of the day.
What else?
The second one was the lady who spoke about how she lost her money. I think...
the mining lady.
Yes.
Yes, she was on stage. I was there yesterday when she...
Yeah,
she got Monday.
To me. She got to me because...
She lost 10 million, she said.
Yes. That just taught me that if we are not also... It's two things. If we are not careful, you can lose everything you've labored for. Secondly, you can start again.
Even if you lose it.
Yes.
It's not about falling down, it's about getting up.
It's about getting up, like you said, yes.
Every time you fall.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And in terms of the future of this Forbes thing, some people say, I really don't see the tangible benefit. What is the point of this thing? What is your take?
For me, this is a way of increasing economic activities in our African continent. If the team of Forbes come here, that means our local taxis are benefiting. They are making money. The ones with all sorts of entrepreneurships, the one we had there at the sports stadium, they are able to showcase, and they are learning how to also put themselves in the world market. So it's firstly the economic benefit, and secondly the exposure.
So what deals and what contacts and what collaborations have you established from this?
Oh, there's in the networking part, I really had to make connection, because like I met a lady from South Africa. I think she was also part of the list of the 2021. She's into hospitality. And at this point, it's even the reason why I answered the other question of what I want to specialize on. And I said I'll mix it, because I met her and she told me what she does in her hospitality, and it's more into real estate, but on the hospitality side. And I felt like, oh my goodness, I'd want to take that to my country.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, here's a chance for you to hit me with a question if you have one.
My question to you is that, when I walked in, I'm looking at almost all the sites, and I'm seeing how there's like different, there's Mogobe, and then there's different types of, how do you manage, because I'm looking at also having those different shaded businesses attached while you're doing one thing.
Yeah.
But how do you do that?
It's teamwork. It's not about one person.
Okay.
I've been fortunate to have good team members in key positions. I have someone who's running the restaurant. I have someone who's running the law firm. I have someone who's doing operations on the property side.
Wow.
Someone who's in charge of maintenance and HR and other things.
Wow.
So it's never a one-man show. And if it's all about collaboration, the things we've been learning from Forbes. So that's how we've been able to do it the past 3 decades or so.
Wow.
And that's how we intend to keep doing it, through collaborations, through partnerships such as this. I mean, look at this show.
Yeah.
I'm partnering with these young men,
Yeah.
and that's what it's about.
Wow. I see.
There's no such thing as a self-made man or a self-made woman.
No.
You may be at the heart of it, you may be the key to the whole operations, but you need to be almost like somebody operating an orchestra. You know, like what do you call him? Conductor. I'm just a conductor of an orchestra.
Wow.
But these other instrument players have to cooperate with me for the music to come out.
Okay.
That's the best analogy I can give you.
And the trust, how do you do that? How do you?
Well, there's
pass
always those issues. People sometimes betray you. People sometimes stab you on the back. But people sometimes always bring you profit, also bring you income. Okay. It's a risk you have to be prepared to take.
Okay.
You have to. In my case, I have a basic optimism and a faith in the humanity.
Okay.
Even though people disappoint me and they really stick that knife sometimes in between my shoulder blades, I just deal with it and move on. If you know what I mean. So
Yeah, definitely.
trust is an ongoing thing. We try to work on it through training, through constant interactions.
Okay.
And there's a style of management which is called management by walking around,
Okay.
which basically means getting involved, constantly interacting, going to people's offices, and constantly adding what value you can.
Okay.
So that's how I do it.
Wow. Wow. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
I hope I've answered your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
adding to my wisdom.
Now, look at that camera as we wrap up and leave the viewer with something motivational, something inspirational that you can share.
Okay. Be intentional. I'll keep emphasizing on that. Everything that you want cannot happen for itself. You can have the talent, you can have the skills, you can have you can have everything that it takes, but if you're not being intentional about it, it's not gonna happen. And it needs dedication, commitment, discipline, and you need to keep going. No matter how hard it gets, keep going, because unfortunately it needs to come with a good news and bad news. Keep going. Eventually you'll get the results that you want to see.
Speaking of good news and bad news, I forgot to ask you one question, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to ask you, what major setback have you ever suffered in your life, and what did you do to overcome it?
Okay. I remember when I had a salon business, and I had taken money to start up this business. I had set up everything, and I just needed a place. I've already spoken to the landlord of where I was going to rent. It's in the middle of the CBD, and I was ready, but I don't know, for some reason the person refuses last minute. Like, before I could buy the equipment, I spoke to the landlord. He agreed. But after I've gone out to spend the money, now that I'm ready.
It was before you signed the lease.
At least I could have made other decisions. So I'm now stuck with my equipment. I lost the people that were going to rent this, to make the business happen for me. I tried to get a different location, but it was a bit far from the CBD. It started making me spend money. Instead of making money, I started spending more money, because now I have to pay for rent at that place by myself. The employees that I'm getting are the ones that are not they don't have clientele. I have to teach them everything. I started making a loss. I tried my best to at least do other ways, like to make money, just to try to sustain, at least to even just pay the expenses.
What was the business going to do? You said a salon.
Yeah. But for some reasons it didn't work out, so I had to close it down. That hurt my feelings.
And your pocket.
It hurt me. Yeah.
You lost a lot of money.
Yes, but it's not like the business is not good, but it's just that the way it happened made me lose money.
So how did you overcome it? What did you do to put it behind you and move on?
I needed to make peace with it. I first had to accept that it happened. There's nothing I can do to change the situation. It has already happened. So now I have to look at what am I going to do next. Okay. So that's when I started selling out some of the equipment to recover some of the money and just start doing other business so that I can...
Like real estate?
Yes.
Now, can you tell the viewers how they can reach you? Thank you for that story. Thanks for opening up. How they can contact you. Share all your contact details, your addresses, where we find you in Namibia, everything. Okay.
We have our website, www.calvinrealestate. I also have an Instagram page, which is Esther Mundjenga 1. And I'm also on Facebook, Esther Mundjenga. And there's also Calvin Real Estate on Facebook. And my number is +2648148372773. That's my Namibian number, and I can be reached via WhatsApp. If you go on the website, there's also a part where you can just click and the message goes directly to my WhatsApp. So do contact me. if you want a place to rent, to sell, to buy, I'm available for all that.
Okay. Thank you very much. On social media, you mentioned everything, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. You did well.
Thank you. That's a good compliment for me.